Hello everyone, welcome into Fatty's Feast, where we make the best food you'll ever eat without leaving your backyard. My name is Josh, and the day has finally come where we will be cooking a brisket on the Patriot Pits Freedom 94. Let's get started. Okay, so today's gonna be like any other brisket cook I've done. I got myself a full packer brisket from Costco. This is choice. Unfortunately, prices have skyrocketed again. We're at $4.49 a pound again. Last month, I think it was $3.50 a pound still. So yeah, I paid 70 bucks for this thing. This is a, let's see, 15.64 pound brisket. So we're gonna have a pretty long cook ahead of us. It's a beautiful day here in Connecticut. In November, it's like 75 degrees. So I'm thrilled. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Now, like I said, I'm gonna be doing this brisket the same way I do all of my other briskets. However, because I'm really testing this smoker and seeing the results we get, I'm not really going to be going in depth about how I cook a brisket. So if you're interested in the step-by-step process, I have 4 videos out. I'm gonna post them within this video in links at various spots so you can see in depth the way I slice a brisket, the way I prep it, the way I season it, when I wrap it, all that good stuff. I'll explain a little bit, but not too much, because the main focus today is this beautiful smoker behind me. So that being said, let's get to prepping this thing. One thing I'm noticing is there's not a lot of intermuscular marbling, but we have this huge fat cap on top, so we got to get this cut down pretty well. Now, typically I wouldn't cut this stuff out, but it looks disgusting, and I don't want that in my food. And this is what we got. This is what we're left with. I think that looks pretty good. Let me just get right here. A little concerned about the lack of intermuscular fat, so it might be a little dry at the end of the day, but if we cook it correctly, we should be fine. Right here, as you can see, the fat layer is very thin, so I don't want to cut too much of this off, so I'm just going to leave this as is. You know, full disclosure, have some bald spots here. This fat was very thick, and trying to figure out where it was, I sort of had to make some little bald spots here and there, but I think I got it pretty much down to where I want it. And as always, I'm just using my homemade brisket rub with pepper, seasoned salt, and garlic powder. And that, my friends, is looking pretty damn good. We gotta let that burn down to coals, so we got plenty of time to let this brisket come to a good room temperature. So as always, point toward the fire, and I'm gonna stick a probe right here, only because I wanna see what the temps do in this hot spot here. We're pretty much past it, but you can tell it's quite hot right here. And goodbye for now. So as usual, I'm keeping this around 225, 250 for the first 3 hours, the goal to get as much smoke flavor as we possibly can. All in all, it took about an hour to prep everything and get this up to temp, meaning burning the charcoal chimney, putting those in there, burning the logs down. They're not completely burned down yet, but we have a clean enough fire and the temps are steady enough that I felt we could put this brisket on. And once again, we're gonna be looking for clean smoke, but not crystal clear nothing smoke. And right now I have the stack closed about 1/3 of the way. I can adjust that if I feel I need to, but looking at the temps all across, we look pretty damn even. So we're gonna enjoy the day, chill out, and I'll see you guys in about 3 hours. All right, everyone, we're 3 hours in. We're gonna take a look at the brisket first. It's coming along very nicely. I'm so impressed with the results. And then we're gonna talk about some of the thoughts I have about the smoker that I've noticed while cooking this brisket. So you notice over here I got my beef tallow rendering down like I always do, and then a water pan. I didn't show that originally. But look at the color on this thing. We got some pooling of the fat up top. We're gonna get that off. This is a great color. I've never had such great results with my brisket on the Brazos, so I'm so impressed. The fat's rendering very nicely. This thing's a thick-ass boy, jeez. Now we've seen it shrunk already because this probe was right against the point when I put this on, and we're just moving slowly that way. All right, so let me just tip this thing a little bit to get some of this juice off, which we're gonna be doing every hour now. And then I just have this foil I'm gonna put right here because it's a little bit, it's not burning, but I just want to shield that a little bit if I can from that heat. We're gonna have some great burnt ends up here. I can already see that. Let me just give it a little bit of a spritz just up top, avoiding the fat. The heat's definitely going around to this side, and we are good. Okay, so the door I've had at the level I had it in the biscuit test video, basically right at this first notch, or I've had it open if the fire's getting dirty. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is putting your wood up here. I know I mentioned it in a previous video, but if I lift this piece up, you can see it's starting to get a little bit of color, right? So we want to avoid that if we can, because this piece of wood is actually extremely freaking, I'm burning my hand right now. It's extremely hot. So if you're gonna put wood up here, you need to keep an eye on it. That's just from probably, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes of it sitting there. So just be mindful of that. We got a little bit of a dirty fire, so we're gonna fix that right now. But what I've noticed is this insulated firebox is magical. I had a little bit of an issue when I first put the brisket on, trying to get some of the bigger splits like these, and this is a little bit big. I didn't want to split it down anymore because it's a decent size, it'll burn. But when I first put those big pieces on, I had some dirty fire. It was just sort of a pain in the ass. So I took some of the smaller splits that I usually use with my Brazos and put those on to get a really nice coal bed established. And then once I did that, these were burning fine. Other than that, this fire's been a champ. It's been so easy to run. I have had no issues. So just to get this running a little bit better, it's so strong, believe me, I'm just gonna throw some bark on here. And that should actually do the trick to get our temperatures up a little bit more. I know I'm not using it right now, but these Grillaholic Skrill gloves, you want to use this in here. This is so freaking hot. And as always, I've been using my tongs to reposition the wood if I have to, but what I've noticed is the better trick is using this shovel. Now, I can't use a shovel on my Brazos. It's way too small. But with this, I can really get in there and move this coal bed around if I have to ensure that I have even burning. So this has been very helpful. This firebox is big enough to do that. So I definitely recommend getting a shovel and using that if you can. I'm just gonna keep this open for now and let that fire get going a little bit better. So once we get our temps up, I'll show you the evenness. You can see it's still pretty dirty, but once we get them up, I'll show you the evenness of the temps on this thing. That's really impressive. The one con I have, and I addressed this already because it isn't a thing anymore, but this grease trap right in the middle there, I showed that off and I said he moved it to this side. Naturally, I put my smoker downhill, sort of. So the way my driveway is, the lowest point of the smoker is right here. So I need to keep an eye on starting a grease fire. I don't want to do that, obviously. I'm not concerned about it right now because we're not really rendering a lot of fat. But once we get to that point in a few hours where we're really dripping that fat off, I might have to move the smoker out a little bit. So that's just a concern I have right now. I don't see anything coming out of there yet. So we're in good shape. But that grease drain in the middle is just an issue, which, like I said, already taken care of. He dealt with it. It's way over here now. So if you order one of these smokers, you're not going to have that issue. The other thing I wanted to address is in the smoker walkthrough video, I did talk about how this whole thing is 3/8 inch thick steel, and that I hadn't seen another smoker that was completely 3/8 inch thick steel. I could have worded that better probably, because obviously there are other smokers on the market that do that. Your Workhorse is probably the most popular one that's completely 100% 3/8 inch thick steel. The thing I do want to point out, and once again, I don't want to bash other smokers or other companies, but this thing is 1,200 pounds. The Workhorse is 800-ish something pounds. The biggest difference between the two is that this comes with that insulated firebox, the hinges, the banding, all that stuff adds that extra weight. So it is a beefier smoker, but also the dimensions of the doors and the weight of the doors, I think, are a little bit heavier. I don't know the exact numbers, but I've seen people lift a workhorse door with one hand. I can't do that. Impossible. I mean, like I said, I don't work out, but I would have a hard time believing someone could lift this without dislocating a shoulder. So that fire's ripping pretty good right now. I'm just gonna take this, move that around. That's looking pretty good. Let's shut this door because I know we're gonna be hot right now. So look at this, 250 here. Let's come over to this side. Just over 250 here. And we got that hot spot in the middle, but what we're gonna do, take this thing, we're gonna back it down to right about there. Now let's go a little further open. These temperatures for the most part have been in sync. So maybe this is a 5-degree difference. You can see that's dropping really quick with shutting those two doors. And this should go down as well. Not by much. It's gonna be that center part that really goes down. And then as we watch it, probably not gonna see it right now, but this temperature will actually go up. The hot spot, because the damper has been shut more, is actually right about here. So right where the water pan is and where the tallow is. So we have some good color on the brisket. We have some good smoke flavor that's getting on that bad boy. Also, I've been running a little bit of a dirtier fire to get some more smoke flavor. Not by much, but just a little bit more dirty. So we're gonna actually let this go up a little more. We're probably gonna be going between 250 and 275 just to get that fat to render and get that really nice bark on here. Like I said, I'm so freaking impressed. It looks so good. I've not had results this far along on my Brazos. If we take the comparisons in time, usually I'd have a little bit of fat pooling, but not a great color like I have on this one. So I'm gonna check back in, I don't know, at some point, maybe an hour or two. We'll see where we're at, and we're just gonna see if we have to bump up our temps or spray or any of that good stuff. So stay tuned. All right, we're about 6 hours into the smoke now, and I wanted to bring you guys in close to show what I'm looking at with the firebox here. Wow, there goes my camera. Okay, hold on. Need to recenter that. Sorry about that, the shovel was in the way. So, with this smoker, what I've been doing is just taking the shovel and breaking this stuff down. And I've noticed now with the higher temps, if I'm running, 275, like I said I was gonna be doing, I'm putting on a split probably every half hour to 45 minutes. The cool thing is when I put a split on, it's not bumping up the temps completely like out of control, like on my Brazos. I can literally sit back and just not worry about it. So when I put, like, this is a sort of a bigger split for this. I might put this on next actually because it's been on here for a while and it's very hot and I just burned my hand. So let me do that. And that should catch pretty quickly. Like I said, I just literally burned my hand. But that'll burn for a good 45 minutes and I'm not gonna have to worry about it. So that being said, when it comes to these smokers, a $3,700 smoker, you get what you pay for. And with my Brazos, obviously I'm using smaller splits. I need to keep putting wood on probably every 20 minutes or so, and then I have to manage the temperatures. But with this, I know what's gonna happen. And it took me a second to get used to this because it's a new smoker to me, but I know that this is gonna burn and it's gonna go for 45 minutes. I'm gonna have consistent 260, 275 degree temps. And if I don't, then I just adjust the door or I adjust the damper on the stack, which I've had to do. Look at that. This insulated firebox is something. So if you've been smoking for a while and you're in the market for a smoker like this, I would absolutely upgrade. It makes your life 1,000 times easier. And I said it before, obviously, but putting your wood up here, these are very hot splits and I've just been moving forward. Obviously, you're going through more splits. I've gone through probably about 2/3 of the amount I would on my Brazos because I'm using smaller splits, smaller amounts of wood. But it's worth it for this. I mean, obviously, if you're running a 500-gallon pit, you're going to be going through full splits, but this is going very well. I love it. Let's close this down. All right, let's take a look at this beast. So we ran out of daylight. Obviously, the lighting's not going to be as good, but we got some great bark forming there. Once again, the results on this so far, much better than I've ever seen. And I want to point out, look at just the size of this flat right here. This is going to shrink up, obviously, but here's about where the point starts. This flat is beefy as hell. Looks great. We got our tallow rendering down very nicely, and I have to get more water. Let's do our little tip here. I did move the smoker forward just to get the grease drain more at an angle, so I didn't have a grease fire. It's working out pretty well. And you can see here there's some pooling in the bare spots we had. That's to be expected. It's not gonna really kill the final product. Just take some internal temps. We're at 150 right in the center of the point. Oh, that gives very nicely. 158, look at this. 162. We're very even all the way around. 160. Let's see where we're at here. This is very rough still. 156. So we're coming along, guys. It's gonna be great. I don't know if you can see it also. I just love the color. It looks beautiful. Let's shut it down. So my neighbor already came over and brought me refreshments for the rest of the night because I'm gonna be out here for quite some time. And I think in about 2-ish hours, maybe a little longer, maybe 3-ish hours, we'll be able to wrap this thing. Obviously, we're looking for internal temp, but that's not the only thing. We're looking for bark formation. We're looking for fat render. We want this thing to look like a goddamn meteorite when we wrap it. The progress we've had throughout this entire cook has been splendid. Like I said, on my Brazos, it's going to take a lot longer just because it's a smaller smoker and all this other stuff. But with this, temps are consistent. I think we're rendering really good fat right now. I'm hoping 2 hours we'll be able to wrap, but maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 7. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. I will check back with you when I go to wrap it. Otherwise, I'm just checking on this thing about every hour. I'm just doing the little tip and getting those juices off. I don't have to spray it. It doesn't look like there's nothing burning, so I'll see you in a little bit. Oh, and also I'm maintaining temps around 275 still. We're not deviating from that. We're going to get through the stall. We're going to push it. We'll see what happens. All right, welcome back. We are 12 and a half. You heard me, 12 and a half hours into this brisket cook. I am so happy that it is turn your clock back time because I would die tomorrow if that wasn't the case. But we're going to take a look at this brisket. We're about ready to wrap. I want to show you what we're working with. Alrighty, look at this beautiful meteorite we have going on here. So, looking at fat render, it's very soft on top. We have a crispy crust, which I love, but that fat is giving. I'm trying not to burn my freaking hand in the middle of it, which I sort of am, but that fat's rendering very nicely. Technically speaking, I could have wrapped this about an hour ago. We're at 180, 176, pretty equal all the way through. The flat is a little bit less, so we're gonna turn that toward the fire. But all in all, this is coming along very nicely. I love that. Even cooking. Let me get a close-up of that. Look at that beautifulness. That is something gorgeous. And I've not gotten those results on my Brazos. Like, this is just looking so freaking nice. Let me just do one more tipsy just to get that off. A lot of the bark, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but some of it washed off because of that bald area we have there, but it's not too bad. It's not the worst, so it should be fine in the long run. So let me get this brisket right here. We're gonna do fat side down. And something I wanna point out, look at the bottom of this brisket. That looks beautiful. On the Brazos, a lot of times it's very washy, but we have a great bark there. It looks hot as hell. Let me take some of this tallow and just push it over the edge here. I'm trying to be quiet right now because my neighbors are asleep and it's 2 in the morning, like I said. So let's wrap this bad boy up. Get the edges in nice and tight. The table is a little wet because it decided to rain a little bit. But that shouldn't be a problem. We're doing 1-2 wraps around. Just gonna fold this in. And this is the bottom again. A little moist, but that's what we have. Let's open this bad boy back up. Then, like I said, we're gonna flip it around so the flat is toward the fire. And we'll shut her down. Okay, like I said, I'm trying to be quiet because my neighbors are asleep. But all in all, I think this cook has gone very well. Like I said, I could have probably wrapped this about an hour ago, but I wanted to get a nice crusty bark. I need to impress my buddies when they come over tomorrow for football. It's been a while since they had one of my briskets, and we're doing it on the Patriot Pits Freedom 94. So it's got to be a million times better, well, at least 69 times better than I've ever made a brisket before, right? So I love how this thing maintains temps. I have gotten, like, I'm looking at it, and the results I've had throughout the cook have been really good. And I say that because it's progressed better than I've ever had a cook progress before. I've made videos on my Brazos doing briskets, and it seems a lot of times, I'll have temperature swings, or I'll have just things that set me back. And I really haven't had that on this smoker. Everything has gone very, very well, including if I have temperature spikes. Like, let's say I have a temperature spike in the middle of the smoker. I have to just back this down a little bit, just back the stack down, or I just have to back the firebox door down a little bit. And what I notice is after 2 minutes, everything is back to normal. So you can easily control the temperatures on this thing. It just makes life so much easier when you're doing backyard barbecue, even though I'm in my front yard, in my driveway. But you get the gist of things. And for full transparency, the one thing that I have to get used to, and that's sort of annoying me a little bit, is I have my temperature probe right here, right in the middle, like you saw. And that's what I'm looking at when I'm sitting in my chair over there, not looking at the tell-trues. Now, I don't feel like I need to necessarily keep an eye on them all the time, but sometimes I'll get up and see that, this temperature is at 280 or something like that, and then the tell-trues are at 250. So it's one of those things I sort of have to work out, where even though I'm controlling this up here, and that's backing down the temperature spikes in the middle, and I'm pushing that back to this probe over here, I sort of need to get into the habit of actually maybe sitting over here, because I can see the fire's clean for the most part. On my Brazos, I'm so used to looking at my two probes, because my thermometer's right here, right in the middle up top, which doesn't help me at all. So I look at the two probes and I say, okay, where are my temperatures at? Do I need to add wood? Do I need to tend to the fire or whatever? With this, because I can really only comfortably fit one probe in there, I don't want to put any probes underneath the door. So I need to look at this temperature here, because this one is typically 10 to 20 degrees off from this probe over here, which is fine. And I've seen a few times where I was bumping up the temps, and then I come over and this probe is a little bit lower than I want it to be, because I really wanted this to be running around 270 for the duration of the second half of the cook, or whatever, if you will, the last 6 hours. But I was looking at this one, which was running around 290, and this one was 250 or 260. So just really shifting myself from sitting by the firebox, where I don't really have to worry about it on this smoker because it's burning a clean fire most of the time, taking myself out of that environment and going over in front of the cooking chamber and just looking and seeing what's going on. It's going to make a huge difference in the end. So anyway, because it's late, that's all I'm going to film tonight. I'm going to bring you back tomorrow when we're watching football on Football Sunday. It's going to be a great day. So I'm going to let this go wrapped. I'm going to cook it to an internal temperature of, 203, 205, whatever I feel. If you want to get more info about when to take your brisket off, you can check out my other video. But I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this thing is thick. It's been resting for 9-ish hours. In total, this cook took us 16. Once again, I have terrible luck with small briskets. I feel like the smaller they are, the longer they cook. I don't believe in the pound per hour, whatever rule. It never, ever works out that way for me. So let's cut into this thing. I think we're going to have some great results. Ooh. Bark's sticking. Ooh, I don't like that. What the fuck? Well, that's something I've never seen before. The bark is sticking. Well, this is interesting. I don't like that. Holy shit. Okay, that was really freaking weird. I've literally never had that happen before. I mean, it's rendered, but that's weird. If anyone on YouTube has ever had that happen, I mean, that fat's jello, but that bark stuck. Bad. Well, here's just an example of what can go wrong, I guess. Like, that's really freaking weird. I don't understand that, but the bark, nice and crispy. Don't worry, we're making some homemade mac and cheese today as well. Good times. I've never seen this happen where the bark has like stuck to the paper. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I don't know if it's just the Costco brisket. The fat's just weird, but before being such a lean brisket, like I said, I was pretty concerned about it. It's cooked out very nicely. Nice smoke ring. So I'll give this little part a try first. And then we got a burnt end here. Actually, I want to try. This one's a little crispier. That's actually like... It's pretty good too. Nice flavor. And then when we look at the point here, it's looking pretty good. Nice fat render in the middle. Still holding itself together. Let's give that a try also. That fat band rendered very nice. I love that. Wow. That's good flavor. I will say, using this smoker, I would say I got the best bark I've ever had. When I wrapped this thing, as we saw on camera, I loved what was happening. The bark was beautiful. I let this thing rest for 9 hours. I don't think the performance of the smoker was the reason the bark stuck to the butcher paper. I have literally no clue why that happened. I've never had that happen. The thing is soaked in tallow, and I don't know why that would happen. So once again, if anyone has any clue onto why that would happen, please let me know in the comments, because I didn't think that was an issue. It's not like we're using something tacky, but this is a really good brisket. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I wasn't really making this video to show you how to cook a brisket. I was more experimenting with the smoker, seeing how that worked. It took me just as long as it would on the Brazos, which is unfortunate. However, it was much easier to run. The temperature swings were non-existent. I thought it cooked more evenly than it would on my Brazos. I feel like I have too many temperature spikes and differences, and I can't really control those. So you spend up for a bigger, better smoker, and like I said, that one's only $3,700. You're gonna get better results. This brisket's one of the best ones I've ever cooked, I would say. I mean, and like that, the smoke flavor is really good. I don't think I mentioned I used mostly hickory wood for this. I normally use oak, but the hickory is what I have in my garage. So not that much of a change, but definitely gives a little more of a pungent smoke flavor. There's a little bit of a kick to it too. Looks a little weird. But I thought using that smoker, the Patriot Pits Freedom 94, you can't go wrong. It was so easy to cook this brisket. It took longer than I wanted to, but that's not because of the smoker. That's just because briskets are the way they are. I'm talking with my mouth full, and I just spit. So if you're in the market for a smoker, I thought you were gonna like walk. I thought you were staring at me. I'm like, oh, okay. So if you're in the market for a smoker, or upgrading your smoker from an Oklahoma Joe, from an old country pit to something a little bit better, can't go wrong with this thing. I mean, this made great barbecue. Obviously, you'd expect it to. But remember, if you do reach out to Jason, or you do go on their website and order one there, use the code FATTIES, say Fatty sent you, you'll get a free charcoal chimney. You'll also get a firebox tool. You're gonna wanna check those out, they're beautiful. And remember, there's so many customizable options to get with your order. So be sure to check out all the options on the website. I'll put a link in the description and in the comments and all that good stuff. But I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fatty's Feast. If you like what you saw, please smash that like button as hard as you can. Leave a comment, let me know what else I should make on the beautiful Patriot Pits Freedom 94. Over here, I'm gonna put a... Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, we're pausing here. I need to stop saying stay tubby, because I'm over that now. What should I say? When I say stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.
Stay smoky. Stay hungry.
I was thinking stay diabetic. No, over here I'm going to put a playlist with all of my smoker meat cooks, my beef, my briskets. You're going to love that, so check that out. And then over here, I'm going to put a video specifically designed for you. You're going to love it. Again, check that out as well. And right in the middle, you can subscribe if you love me so much and want to see more of my average face. And until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay hungry. Yay, new end of the video. Cool. Bye.